Hello and welcome again to Simple Ways for Digital Skills. In the previous way, we had managed to simplify or to simulate an API simulation which has an access to our production data, and this API server will simply using the do-get function of the apps script, and it was receiving a request from the web or from the browser to access with the crew, which crew was working, and then returns the data of the crew itself. So we simulated once more to make sure that we are on the same page. So test deployment, we are working it on test. So we are taking the test URL and we open a new browser tab. We put it here, and then to make a query, and then we put crew, and that's where we're testing. We were APC, if we selected C for example. It's returning the data of crew C, operation data of crew C. They were working on Monday, they produced this amount, and then they were working on Sunday, this date, and they produced this amount, and we can make it for APC. Now, to deploy this web app as an API that with a URL that will receive endpoint and will receive the query attached to it, and so on, we need to go to make a new deployment. So, and it's very important, so we can just make it, we don't need it as an add-on now, it's just a web app, and we give it a description that's simulate an API -1, so we can extend it further. The important thing is that this data is executed as me, that's the email attached to this sheet, so it should be the mail, and having the access is anyone, because we are going to make the front end at another user, but to be executed, it should be executed as me. Okay, and then we will deploy, and then I will copy the URL of the deployment, and that's what we need. Now we will move to another Google account, and in this different account, different user, we are going to make our front end that will call this API and will extract data from the database through this API by giving it the endpoint and adding the query of the group. So we simulate it. So simply we will create a function. We will call it get production. And inside this get production, we will use let the response, let's make it small, so let the response will be equal to, I need to use the URL fetch app, which is a class from appscript.fetch, which is the usual command or method that brings us the URL, and then I will put here the URL that of the web app. Okay, so like this, I need to add to it the question mark, and then crew, and then equal. Okay, and outside here, simply I will add P, for example, just as concatenation, and then we will see how to get this P dynamically from our sheet or from calling this function. Okay, we managed to create our fetch. After that, we need to get the JSON, so let the result, so that's the response, so the result will be equal to this response or JSON, which is the JSON class, the famous JSON class of the JavaScript, because when you can use JavaScript on AppScript because it's built based on AppScript, but not every function can be used. Okay, parse and get the JavaScript object from the response dot get content text, because we don't need the headers and so on. Okay, and for now we print this to the screen. So simply on the screen I'll make console .log of my result, and let's run it. So you see, we managed to retrieve the data of group P. So if we change it here to group A, we save and run. Now we can see we can access the data on the database through the API or simulation of the API that we had created, and to access to the base URL and adding to it the query with the parameters that are changing. That's great. Let's extend this function, and instead of making this as a simple function, I will make it something more interesting. We will generate it as a custom function. So that's how to create a custom function. And simply here we have a video totally on our channel how to create custom functions professionally. I will give you the link on the top on the right here. So simply here we are at custom functions. I will not put parameters and so on as we were doing it before, just to make this video short. So custom function, so like this it will be a custom function, and this custom function I will get the crew out of the custom from calling the custom function, and then here instead of concatenating a fixed value, it will be the crew which will pass to this function. Then what shall we do with what shall we return? Because we need to return something to the screen or to the sheet. So just we will return something. We will call it the return array. Okay, so now we need to create this return array. So this return array will be equal to simply an empty array for now. And then we need to define the row array, because to write data to the sheets, it should be in the form of array inside an array. So I will here add again row array. So that's we'll write row by row. Okay. This also is equal to an empty array. Okay. And then I will make a simple loop. Looping through something that's innovative also to know. That's part of what we teach on our course, which will be early November 2020, available on Udemy. So we teach how to make APIs and tricks of the coding of the app script and JavaScript and Node.js and many other platforms. You will find it in Udemy starting November or early November 2022. So simply, I will get the function, or I'll get my result, and this result is usually turned as an array. If you remember, if we had seen it as an array when we returned it, so simply we can go here. That's the execution we had demonstrated. You can see it's turning with a square bracket. That means that it's returning as an array. So simply result dot for each. Okay. So and then inside for each, I need to pass it a callback function. So simply I will open a bracket, and I will call here each element of my array, for example, and for each element I'll make an our function, and then curly brackets. Okay, and then we need to put here the body of our function. The body of our function here, the first thing is it's very important to initialize our row array, as we had seen previously in how to initialize it inside it, array or object or something like that. And then I need to push to the row array element of my return of the result. So row, I will get the row array dot push. What I need to push? I need to push the element, each element of my result dot something. So the first one will be dot day. Then simply I will copy it, and then we need to make it 5 times, because we are having 5 elements in each object of our response. Then it will be the date, and then will be the production. How do I know this? I know this from the previous video where we had prepared all of this, and then we have the crew, and then we have the last thing was the average temperature of the product. Like this, we had managed to collect the row array, each row what will contain, and then I need to go to the return array, and I push to it the row array which will be written in each row. Okay, like this we had prepared our data perfectly. So Control S, I'm going to save it, and then we are returning the return array. After that I go here to my sheet, and inside my sheet I need to get the production of crew A. So that's crew A will equal to get You can see here that just I need to refresh it to make sure that it's reading the last function equal to get production. You can see that your function came, and then I need the crew. I'll select crew A, then I close my parenthesis and press enter. It's loading from the other sheet totally, and then you can see that your production is returned here with the days of the production, the dates, the quantity, and here finally, and I think we are missing the average temperature due to some reason. We can check it quickly. We need to take this out, Control S. Okay, and we try it, for example, with group C. And here is equal to get production. You can see that get production is now available. And we will select crew C and then press enter. It's loading from the other sheet totally through the API or simulation of the API through the database. It's collecting our data we need, and then it is returning here and putting it in rows here. You can see here the average, the production is coming, the average temperature is coming here. Average temperature also is corrected. Once we had corrected the sheet, it's very dynamic. Now we had seen how to make a simulation for an API accessing the database and how to access it on the front end from totally different user, totally different sheet on another account. That's the power of APIs we present in our coming course early November 2022 on Udemy. Join us. You will learn an in-depth insight to the digital skills of APIs, what are APIs and how to access them. You will learn a wealth of information through this training. See you there.